Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 20th August 2022. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see today's quote. Today's quote is a motivational quote. What comes is better than what is gone. So even though if you had failed in your prelims, so you might not prepared well for interview and mains, right? So whatever that you are going to get in future, that will be always better than what you have lost today. So this is a motivation quote, and especially the students who didn't clear this year prelims and try to work hard for the mains and try to work hard and try to see your name in the final list, and all the best for all of you. So now let us try to see the first question. It is regarding freebies. Already we discussed number of articles regarding this freebies, and yesterday's newspaper also there is one article regarding freebies. And in today's newspaper also there are 2 or more articles which are regarding these freebies. So there is no choice for me. I have to discuss this topic for today. So this topic is important from your GS paper 2 under polity. So now let us try to understand this topic. First of all, let us see the title. End this asymmetrical conflict over freebies. Yes, there is a conflict which is happening between this government and as well as court regarding this freebies. So now let us try to understand and decode this topic. So this topic is exclusively important from mains and students who are going to write this year mains. So this is also one important topic where you can expect question, and there is high possibility of getting question from this freebies topic for sure. So why it is in news? First of all, so while hearing a petition, and this petition demanding de-recognition of political parties that promises freebies. Yes, in the political, if you are talking about in election campaigns, yes, political parties, they will come up with announcement of freebies, that we are going to provide free laptops, we are going to provide a washing machine, televisions, etc. Right? So these all are some of the examples of this freebies. So here one petition which mainly filed, and during the hearing of this petition, so this petition demanding that, so whenever any political party which came up with a promise of providing some freebies, so that political party to be de-recognized. So Supreme Court recently called for the balance between what are the welfare measures they are going to take in and versus loss of public exchequer. So whenever government which is providing freebies means that is not going to create any assets or any capital, okay, that will not come under capital expenditure. So whenever any expenditure which is done by the government, it is not creating any assets, or whenever it is not creating any capital formation, then that will be not useful for our future. So it is not leading to sustainable development. So here, because of this, Supreme Court recently called for the balance between welfare measures and as well as loss to the public exchequer through these freebies. So now let us try to understand what is the difference between the freebies and welfare. So whenever government which announces, for example, not only government, whenever any political party, so during these electoral campaigns, so whenever they are declaring that they are going to provide free electricity, free water, free public transportation, and waiver of pending utility bills, an example farm loan waivers, so they are considered as normally they are called as freebies. Okay, free electricity, free water, free public transportation, and waiver of loans, etc. They will becomes under the examples of freebies. So here political party says that whenever we are providing free public transportation, electricity, etc., that will be also lead to the empowerment of people. Okay, that is also a welfare measure. So what is a welfare? So if you are talking about welfare, whenever the expenditure which is mainly done by the political parties, whenever they are getting some economic benefits, okay, so whenever there is expenditure that is bringing economic benefits, okay, for example, public distribution system, employment guarantee schemes, so those will come under this welfare measures. So one question which arises here is India spending too much on welfare or freebies? So whether government is spending too much on freebies or welfare, so we have to know that, right? So if you're talking about some details, so there is declining in the spending on social sector that is seen, and recent studies which are done by RBI, this is authenticated one, okay, so RBI came up with a study on state finances, and this report says that from 2014 onwards, the expenditure in the social sector. For example, you can talk about education, for example, health at the state levels, they had been declining. Okay, so there is decreasing of spending on social sector. That means there is increasing on spending on freebies indirectly. And next one here is, next report is also by the RBI report. It says that 2 months ago brought to light the physical situation of the states. And it says that at least 5 states are going to see fiscal pressure because of these freebies. And regarding health and education, so the allocation from the states regarding this health and education is declining day by day, and there is low spending on welfare schemes, and there is increasing on spending on the freebies. Okay, and if you're talking with the spending regarding this welfare schemes, for example, when we are comparing with the other developing countries, so public spending on health and education, it was like 4.7% in India. And if you see even in some sub-Saharan African countries, so they are spending 7%. So here if you're comparing the economic situation of India and these sub-Saharan African countries, so they are very much less. But even though they are spending 7% in this education and as well as in this health, but India is spending just 4.7. That means our political parties, our government, which is focusing on freebies rather than our welfare schemes. And what is the solution? So if you're focusing on the solution, spend more on welfare schemes. Okay, so government need to focus on these welfare schemes, and government need to start spending more on this, and we need to keep track on allocation to the social sector. And next one is public expenditure efficiency. So we need to also talk about the efficiency. So it need to focus on how much amount it is spending and how much result it is getting. So it is based on the efficiency. And next one is we need to focus on the better resources. Okay, so we need to have good tax framework, and we need to get much better resources, and that can be used for the social sector expenditure as well. So this is about this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. So it is regarding China calls for India to work in same direction to restore ties. So yesterday we discussed, I show you article in the PDF of Hindu that so between India and China, the gap is increasing because of some issues. For example, standoff at LAC region, and because of this spy ship that approached this Hambantota port, and it is having the effectiveness. Okay, effectiveness regarding so spying in that area. And next one here, it is regarding Rohingyas issue. So because of these three issues, there is a widening of gap between India and China, that is evident. And regarding that statement here, China made a counter statement and it gave the explanation. So this topic is important from your international relations to understand what is happening between India and China, because in our international relations, so in our syllabus we have to know about India and its neighborhood. As you all know, India and China, they are sharing boundary. Okay, so here whatever the relations which are happening, that is a swing of relations between India and China. So as an UPSC aspirant, you need to know that. So now let us try to see what is the news. So recently our External Affairs Minister of India, he commented that the relationship with China, we are in a very extremely very difficult phase now, and there are many reasons for both countries to work together. And Chinese government said that it has some hope to do work with India in the same direction to bring the relations back on track at every date. Okay, so here our External Affairs Minister said that so the relationship between India, or we are in a very difficult phase now. Okay, so because of number of reasons I said it now, right? So here Chinese government says that yes, we can bring back the relations on the track as soon as possible. So this is the thing which mainly said by this China. So now let us try to see what is the explanation given by the China. So our External Affairs Minister, speaking in this Bangkok, he said that yes, we are in extremely difficult phase for Asian century to happen if India and China could not come together. So if India and China could not come together, so we are going to face some difficulties in this Asia. So in this context, China said that so it appeared to be a strike different note on the minister's remark on broader situation on event Quad. So regarding this quadrilateral dialogue and even regarding this LAC, line of actual control, so what are the statements they are given by this External Affairs Minister, they are not accepted by this China. So Chinese leader, he said that once if China and India cannot achieve sound development, then an Asian century will not going to happen. So in Asia, these two countries are the powerful countries. So whenever there is no proper relationship between this India and China, then what happens? So we cannot achieve sound development in the Asian century. So this is the thing which mainly said by this Chinese leader. So China and India, they are the two ancient civilizations, and even these two are emerging economies and also two big neighbor countries, and they are the most populous countries in the world also, right? So here Chinese, they mainly said that, so even though there are differences, so the commonalities between India and China, they are much high than compared to the differences. So because of this, we can come together and we can have the good relations as soon as possible. So this is the thing which mainly said in this article. And now let us try to see next important topic, that is regarding this Bilqis case. Okay, so this Bilqis case, it is not the new case. Actually, this case belongs to this 2002 in March. Okay, so this Bilqis case, it is regarding this gang rape and murder case, okay, which happened in Gujarat. Okay, so this article is very important, and here you have to focus on the remission powers. And this topic is exclusively important from polity, and you can expect mains question from this topic also. So now let us try to understand this topic. So if you see, context mainly says that, so in this Bilqis Bano case, 11 persons, they are convicts. Okay, so here Bilqis Bano case of 2002 writes, so 11 convicts who are convicted in this case, they walked out of jail as Gujarat government allowed their release under remission policy. So under remission policy, before the completion of their punishment, that is life imprisonment, so these 11 convicts, they had been released from the jail on August 15th. So because of this is in news, and I think there might be some political influence that is seen, because so why I am saying that there is a political influence, because so if you see the visuals in the news, okay, the news channels, so whenever these people are released, okay, once ago these 11 convicts, they had been released from the jail, and there is something like Bharat, and they are mainly awarded with some garlands, etc. Okay, so this will not happen with the normal prisoners. So whenever there is any political influence, we can see this type of arrangements that are seen whenever there is a releasing of these prisoners from the jail. Okay, so this is my personal opinion. I don't know what is the truth, okay, behind this or not. So just I want to give my opinion here. So now let us try to see what is a remission. So which are the articles in our constitution talks about this remission. So under Article 72 and as well as Article 161 of Indian Constitution, which talks about the pardoning powers of President and as well as Governor. So there are, which are those some pardoning powers, for example, pardon, suspend, remit, and as well as commute a sentence passed by the center, etc. So these are some important pardoning powers which are granted for President and as well as Governor of the state under Article 72 and Article 161 of our Indian Constitution. So Article 72 talks about the pardoning powers of President, and Article 161 talks about the pardoning powers of Governor of the state. And not only these articles, but even in our criminal procedure code, so one section, that is section 432, which talks about the remission of sentence. And even whenever there is any birth anniversaries or death anniversaries of the political or prominent leaders, then on that important occasions also, so prisoners, they will be released from the jails. So now let us try to see what are the grounds of remission. So on which grounds the remission will be allowed. So states, they set up a sentence review board, and this board which mainly exercise the powers under section 432 of the CRPC, which talks about the remission. And Supreme Court also said that states do not have arbitrary power, but they need to follow the due process. So under this, what are the factors they need to be taken into consideration to grant the remission? So there are three important factors. First one is we have to see seriousness of crime. So which crime they did? Okay, what is seriousness? And next one is, so we need to focus on the status of co-accused. And next one is, what is the conduct? So how they are performing in the jail. So what is the behavior in the jail? So based on these factors, we can go for remission. So one important case of Supreme Court, that is Lakshman Naskar versus Union of India, and this is a case of 2000. So under this case, why it is important? Because so this case which led to the foundation for the for the remission. So what are the grounds? On what grounds a remission can be considered? So these are the 5 important grounds which are mainly laid by Supreme Court in this famous case of this Lakshman Naskar versus Union of India 2000. So now let us see those 5 grounds. So first one here is whether the offense is an individual act of crime that does not affect the society. So whenever it is affecting the society or not. So what are the crime done by the accused? Okay, so whether it is having the impact on the society or not. And next one here is, so whenever this person who is released from the jail, so whether there is any threat of same crime can be repeated or not. And next one here is whether the convict has lost the potentiality to commit that crime. So whenever if any person who did the murder, so after some years he is in the jail, so whether he lost this ability of doing murder or not, we have to also think about that. And whether any purpose is being served in keeping the convict in the prison. So we have to think that whenever this person who is the convict, who is placed in the prison, so whether the purpose had been served or not. And next one here is we also need to think about the socio-economic conditions of that convict's family. So whether that family is dependent on this person financially or not. So what is the socio-economic condition of that family? So these are the things that we need to consider, and these are the 5 grounds which said by the Supreme Court in this Lakshman Naskar versus Union of India case of 2000. And now let us try to see what is this Bilkis Banu case. So many of you might not know about this Bilkis Banu case because at that time, so you might not be bothered about what is happening. But now after once you enter into this UPSC preparation, yes, what is the thing that is coming in our newspaper that is relevant, right? So for that students, especially who are beginners, so I want to say about what is this Bilkis Banu case. So actually what happened in Gujarat during this 2002, so in Gujarat there was some violence which happened after the Sabarmati train was burnt. Okay, and about 59 people, they were killed in the train itself. So because of this outbreak of violence, so at that time 5 months pregnant, so this Bilkis Banu, she was 5 months pregnant and she fled from her village with her 3.5 years daughter and 15 other family members. And whenever they are fleeing from the village, so they are being attacked by the 20 to 30 people. Okay, so in that attack, so Bilkis and her mother and even 3 other women who belongs to her family, they were raped and as well as brutally assaulted. So only Bilkis and a man and 3 years old survived in this attack. And this case was taken up by National Human Rights Commission and Supreme Court. They ordered this investigation to be done by the CBI. And accused, they were arrested in the year 2004 after 3 years. And the trail moved to Gujarat, moved out of this Gujarat to Maharashtra after this Bilkis Banu received the death threats. So in 2008, special CBI court sentenced these 11 accused of life imprisonment. So the punishment given for this accused was life imprisonment. The charges were rape, raping a pregnant woman who is 5 months pregnant, and murder of other family members, and unlawful assembly under this Indian Penal Code as well. So under these charges, so they were given the sentence of life imprisonment for these 11 accused people. And why these people have released now? So this is the one question that arises, right? So one of the convicts, they approaches this Gujarat High Court seeking the remission of the sentence under the section 432 and 433 of CRPC. So High Court dismissed this plea and it said that appropriate government need to take a decision about the remission in Maharashtra and not in Gujarat, because this case which transferred to Maharashtra from Gujarat because of this Bilkis Banu, she received some threats calls, right? So here later on this convict, he mainly filed a plea in the Supreme Court pleading that he had been in the jail for 15 years without remission as of April 1st, 2022. And the Apex Court directed the Gujarat government to look into the issue of remission of his sentence. And finally, they came up with the formation of a committee, and this committee which gave decision in favor of this remission, okay, of all these 11 convicts in the case. And finally, they had been released. So why this remission has been criticized now? So first important one here is, so whatever the crime they did, it is a heinous crime. So they raped the 5 months pregnant and they killed about 13 members of her family, and she became orphan now, right? So this is the threat of this is the heinous crime, and as soon as there is no premature release. So as per this criminal procedure code, it does not permits any premature, that is before the completion of the punishment they are not going to give the remission. So this is also one important criticism, and as soon as there might be some political considerations, okay, so because of this remission which is criticized now in the society. So now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding Ocean Diversity Pact. So Indian team deliberating on Ocean Diversity Pact. So this topic is important from your GS paper 2 under international relations, and even this is important from your GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. So I can say overall this topic is important from GS paper 2 and GS paper 3, from your prelims and also from your mains point of view. So now let us try to see why it is in news and details regarding this Ocean Diversity Pact. So why it is in news? A delegation from India and other member countries of United Nations, they are in New York and they are trying to deliberate on a one of its kind agreement to conserve marine biodiversity. So this Ocean Diversity Pact, which is focusing on how to conserve this marine biodiversity in high seas. So what is this high seas? According to UNCLOS, United Nations Convention of Law of Seas, so we have territorial water, we have internal water, we have contagious zone, and we have exclusive economic zone. So exclusive economic zone means so from the internal water till 200 nautical miles. So this comes into this exclusive economic zone, and beyond this exclusive economic zone, that is beyond this 200 nautical miles, so what are the water that is present? That will come from this high seas region, right? So in this high seas region, so especially this Ocean Diversity Pact, which is focusing on how to conserve marine biodiversity in this high sea region. So now let us try to see details of this pact. So agreement follows a resolution by United Nations General Assembly, that is UNGA, in May, and they are going to be expected to come up with the final series, okay, set in the motion since 2018 to draft international legally binding instrument under this 1982's United Nations Convention on Law of Seas. Okay, so they are going to come up with this final soon. So whenever the final draft is come, yes, again we will be getting articles regarding that. So if you are talking about high seas, they comprises nearly 45% of our earth surface. As you all know that, so 1/3 of our earth surface is covered with the water itself, okay, and this high seas, they comprise nearly about 45% of our earth surface. And here from India, the delegations, they comprise like Ministry of Earth Sciences, and you can talk about the Center for Marine Fisheries and Research Institute, and also Ministry of External Affairs. So Ministry of Earth Sciences, Marine Fisheries and Research Institute, and Ministry of External Affairs. So these are some important officials, they are going to participate. And if you are talking about key highlights of this Diversity Pact, so one of the important aspect of this agreement is deciding the rights of companies. Okay, whenever they are undertaking any exploration for biological resources in this high seas, so what are the things that are need to be taken into consideration by these companies, and whether the companies are having absolute right on discovery or extraction in these high seas or not. So if there is any terms of intellectual property rights and royalties, so they are mainly prescribed by United Nations. And whenever we are focusing on this mining activity in these high seas, okay, there has been for the gas hydrates, and we need to focus on some precious metals and other fossil fuel resources as well. And as you all know, we are mainly moving forward in this science and technology, biotechnology, genetic engineering, etc. So because of advancement in these areas, there are several companies you are seeing potential in exotic microbes and even other organisms. So they had been undiscovered which are present in this high seas region. So these organisms that may be used for preparation of drugs, vaccines, etc. And this one here is studies on sustainable utilization of deep sea bioresources. That will be one of the main focus under this Ocean Diversity Agreement. Okay, so this is about this topic and I hope it is very much clear. So now let us move on to next article which are given in the other newspapers. Title says Supreme Court orders status quo, says Delhi High Court appointed COA will not take over affairs of IOA. So this article is mainly talking about sports. Okay, so this article is important because actually FIFA mainly banned. Okay, FIFA mainly banned India. So actually what is the cause of concern here is, so India it is mainly going to host this under 17, okay, under 17 this football matches, and actually the sales for this is also had been started. Sales of the tickets had been started, but now we are mainly not allowed to conduct or host any matters of this regarding this football. So it is one cause of concern. So now let us try to see this topic. So actually as a UPSC aspirant, so many of you may be feeling you are deaf and you will be giving your habits as watching sports. So for that people, especially this article is very important and you can get some questions in your interview regarding this FIFA for sure. So if we are talking about context, Supreme Court ordered status quo on implementation of this Delhi High Court order, okay, regarding Indian Olympic Association to a committee of administrators. And FIFA had recently gone ahead and suspended this AIFFF, okay, citing the third party interference. Yes, FIFA banned India, okay, because they said that there is third party interference and it is against the FIFA rules. So if you are talking about details of this article, which mainly says that previously Delhi High Court has set up a 3-membered committee, okay, so committee of association. So they contain some members like a former Supreme Court judge, former Chief Election Commissioner, and as well as a Ministry of External Affairs Secretary as well. So according to the rules of this International Olympic Committee, it says that so whenever there is a representation of the national level body like IOA, okay, so here it is mainly done by non-elected body, so it would be mainly treated as a third party interference, and according to the rules there should be no third party interference. And if you are talking about this third party interference, so Indian Olympic Association, it is a unit of International Olympic Committee and they have their own set of rules and procedures they need to follow, right? Whenever they are not following and whenever there is a third party interference, they are not going to accept this. So if we are talking about some facts regarding this FIFA, so it is the highest governing body of football in the world. So here this international governing body, which is of association regarding this football, futsal, bench soccer, and this FIFA, it is a non-profit organization and it formed in the year 1904. Okay, FIFA was launched to oversee the international competition among the national associations of Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Netherlands, Spain, Sweden and Switzerland. And FIFA, it has now about 211 member nations. So these are some facts and there is a high chance of getting this question from this FIFA in your prelims. And next here we need to talk about this AIFF, that is All India Football Federation. So this All India Football Federation, so it manages the game association, that is football in India, and it will be administering the running of India's national football team, and even it controls the league and even premier domestic club competition, etc. And we came up with this All India Football Federation in 1937 and it gained FIFA affiliation in year 1948. And currently it has an office in Dwarka, New Delhi. Okay, so this is about some facts regarding this All India Football Federation. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding China's BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, slow but lending rises. Okay, so if you are talking about this BRI, so that is a Belt and Road Initiative, that is One Belt One Road Initiative of China. So this project is slow, but one side, if you are talking about lending for this project, had been increased. So this topic is important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. So if we are talking about why it is in news, so Chinese investments in this infrastructure projects under this Belt and Road Initiative, which has been declined. While what are the assistance that is provided by the China, it is increasing, and that will lead to rising of debt levels in the countries where it is investing and where it is giving the loans. So we are focusing on this One Belt One Road Initiative. So we have land, we have also maritime, okay, maritime initiative and land initiative. So here this blue color, which is mainly, it is a land initiative, and maritime here is, so it is connecting the different ports. That is a concept called as string of pearls. So we're talking about key highlights of this article, which says that Green Finance and Development Center report, which says that in the first half of 2022, Chinese engagement through these financial investments and contracts in 147 countries, it is like $28.4 billion, and is about 47% increased when you are comparing with it of the previous year. Okay, and even Chinese total engagement in this BRI project here is $932 billions. Okay, since launch of this BRI, which came up in year 2013, so the report estimated that Chinese total engagement here is $932 billion and $561 billion in construction contracts, and rest which is mainly done in other investments by this China. So this report which mainly noted that three important trends of this BRI. So there is an increasing of role of Chinese state-owned enterprises, and the average size of the project which mainly decreasing, but on another side investment is increasing. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us try to see one more interesting topic, that is a megalodon. It is a giant transoceanic predator, and this lived in 23 million to 2.6 million years, 2.3 million to 2.6 million years ago. Okay, so this is about this megalodon. So it is one of the transoceanic predator. So this topic is important from your GS paper 3 under your environment and ecology. So you can get a question like, so recently this megalodon is seen in news. What it is? It is a transoceanic predator. It lives in ocean. So why it is in news? So here our scientists, they got some evidences, fossil evidences. So by using these evidences, and they started creating a three-dimensional model. So in this three-dimensional model, researchers, they have found new evidences. So this evidence, it is about life of one of the biggest predatory animals of all time. Okay, so the biggest predatory animal here is megalodon. So if you are talking about some description of this megalodon, so it roamed in the oceans, estimated that 23 million to 2.6 million years ago, and actually this megalodon that could completely ingest the prey. The size of this prey, it might be like a killer whale, but within this 5 pieces, okay, within the 5 bites itself, so it is going to ingest the complete prey. And the size of this megalodon, it is like as big as school bus. It is around 50 feet from nose to tail. And in comparison, the giant white sharks of present, they can grow to a maximum length that is 15 feet only, but these megalodons, they are around 50 feet. And using their digital model, researchers, they have suggested that this giant transoceanic predator, it is going to weigh about around 70 tons. It is like as much as weight of 10 elephants. So now you can imagine how big it is. And this is that megalodon. Okay. And next topic, it is regarding global pandemic treaty. So global pandemic treaty, Soumya Swaminathan promises draft in 18 months. So this article is very important from your GS paper 2 under international relations. So now let us try to see some important facts regarding this global pandemic treaty. So if you see context, it mainly says that WHO, that is World Health Organization, came up with the intergovernmental negotiation. Actually this WHO, it is intergovernmental negotiating body, and it came up with this pandemic treaty. Okay, so here WHO, that is World Health Organization, which already says that, so it is mainly this pandemic treaty will be get ready within the next 18 months, and it is focusing to prevent future global health disaster like this COVID-19. So we're talking about some details. In December 2021, the Health Assembly adopted a decision. The title here is the World Together, as its second special session since it was founded in 1948. So here World Health Organization, which mainly established as international intergovernmental negotiating body, and it mainly going to draft and negotiate the contents of this pandemic treaty, and it should be in accordance with the Article 19 of this WHO Constitution. So if you are talking about this treaty, which is focusing to share the data, genome sequencing of emerging viruses, and it was also focusing on equitable distribution of vaccines, drugs that are related to research throughout the world. So what is the need? So here we need to come with some solutions to this COVID-19 pandemic. So because of this COVID-19 pandemic, so we are evident. So we are mainly looking for the inequitable distribution of vaccines. So developed countries, they already gave 3 doses of vaccines, including 1 booster dose. But some other countries like least developed countries, they do not have even the single dose of vaccine to their people. Right? So in this way, we can see there is a widespread of inequitable distribution of the vaccines. With the poorer countries, they are at the mercy of the countries where they are getting some vaccines. And this one here is most countries, they have followed the me first approach. Okay, regarding this. So because of this, to mainly prevent the world from the future pandemics, future disasters, yes, we need this type of treaty. And now let us try to see prelims practice question. The first one is regarding what is the exclusive power of Lok Sabha. So to ratify the declaration of emergency, it should be passed in the both houses, and to pass a motion of no confidence against the Council of Ministers, yes. Next one is to impeach President of India. So exclusive powers of Lok Sabha here is option 2 only. And next question is regarding our moral history, regarding our Annie Besant. So with respect to Annie Besant, so which of the following statements are correct? So the first woman president of Indian National Congress was Annie Besant, yes. And the New India was a daily newspaper published in India by Annie Besant, yes. So here both the statements are correct. So this is about this today's prelims practice questions. And the topic of the day here is, yesterday many students, they commented like, so they don't know about this viability gap funding scheme. So let me explain about this scheme. So what is viability gap funding scheme? For example, if I am a contractor, if I want to lay a road, so I took the contract of laying a road in so and so area. So for the laying of this road, for example, it will take like 5 years of time for me. Okay, so in this 5 years, so what are the investment I am keeping in this construction of this road? So in the future, I may not get that much returns, right? So because of this, in this type of projects, the government will be providing some incentives. So that is called as viability gap funding scheme. So viability gap finance means to grant support to the projects that are economically justified but financially not viable. So whenever the financially they are not viable, but we need that for our economic activity, so in that conditions, government which is mainly going to provide some grant. So this is called as viability gap finance. So the scheme is designed as a planned scheme that to be administered by the Ministry of Finance. Okay, Ministry of Finance, and the amount in the budget, they are made on year-to-year basis. So on year-to-year basis, the amount will be given, right? And such a grant is called as viability gap funding, and it is mainly provided as a capital subsidy to attract private sector players. So whenever we are coming up with public-private partnership projects, so whenever these projects are financially unviable, means the private investors, they will be not coming forward, because the private people, why they work? They will work for the motive, that is a profit motive. So if they are not getting much profit, means why they will come forward to gain the loss. Okay, for getting the losses, right? So in that case, your government will be providing some grants under this viability gap funding. So actually this scheme was launched in year 2004, especially to support some projects under this public-private partnership. And now let's try to focus on the vocabulary. The first one is delegation. Delegation means action of or process of delegating or being delegated. Next one is diminish, means becoming smaller or less. And conflict means whenever there is a serious disagreement or argument. Okay, that mainly called as a conflict. So this is the vocabulary. And now I want to make a small announcement on this platform. We came up with this prelims test series for this UPSC CSE 2023, and this is a 1-year course with 30 tests, and the cost of this course is very much affordable, that is just 3,000 rupees for 1 year. So we are providing 30 tests, which includes both GS and CSAT. So we are having single subject test, sectional test, revision test, and also the full length test. And this course is absolutely beneficial, so try to join this course. Okay. So the details of this course are given in description box, and even schedule is given in description box. You can go through that once. And apart from that, in Rathod size, we also came up with this foundational course for 2023-2024 with a validity of 2 years. And we are also focusing on conceptual clarity. Each and every topic in your syllabus had been discussed here. And we're also focusing on current affairs also, and we are discussing the previous questions of prelims and mains. So this course is absolutely beneficial. So even if you want to take single modules like only economy, ethics, geography, history, so you can take the single modules also. That opportunity is also providing by this Rathod Science Academy. So for the details, if you have any doubts, please call me on this number 8074765513. Okay, so now let us try to see some important articles which appeared in our today's Hindu. I will show you the PDF. Okay, so this is the PDF of The Hindu, and the date here is August 20, and this is Delhi edition. So now let us try to see the headlines which are important from our UPSC point of view. So first article, it is regarding Janmashtami. So here you can see youth falls after breaking a dahi handi, that is the curd part during this Janmashtami celebrations. Okay, so here many of them are injured in this event. And next one here is China calls for India to work in same direction. I discussed this topic. And if you move forward here, you can see give Aadhaar details of 12 Bangladeshi nationals. Okay, so here you have to focus on this article once. And next one here is protest. They are continue over the death of Dalit boy. So actually one Dalit boy who is studying in some private school in Rajasthan, Jalore district. So actually he went to the school and he touched the just part of the water that is used by the higher caste teachers in that school, and after that the teacher assaulted him and finally he lost his life after being in the hospital for the 20 days. So what happened? So now I want to ask you one question, like, so is this the correct manner? So whenever the child he is coming and touching the pot for water, so for drinking of the water, is there anything which is given on the water? So whether any name which is present on the water that this so and so water should be drunk by only the higher caste or only the lower class. There should be no caste for the water, right? So food, shelter and the clothes, that should be equal for all. So without this, there is no sustenance of the life. So how can one person who assault the small child, so that too in the private school? So let me know your comments, okay, whether it is correct or not. And let us move forward. And if you move on to this states, page number 4, there is nothing much important in the today's newspaper. And even in this page number 6 also, there is nothing much important. And here you can see one interesting article, that is Onam food kit distribution from August 23. So here you have to know about what is Onam. So it is a festival in Kerala, right? So if you are from Kerala, you might be knowing about this Onam. And even though if you are not from Kerala, you have to refer some facts regarding the Onam and let me know some facts regarding the Onam in the comment box. So this is the homework for you students. And in this editorial page, I discussed about this freebies article, and there is one article regarding this GST. You can go to that once. And if you move forward in this page number 10, here you can see this article regarding this Bilkis case. I discussed about this Bilkis case in detail. And here you can see one article regarding this freebies. So I'm not talking about the political issue here, okay? So just I want to focus on the freebies. I already discussed that topic in the editorial. And this article, it is regarding Ocean Diversity Pact. I discussed this topic. And there is one important article here is Amethi unit all set to make this AK-203 rifles. So now if you see the production of this AK-203 assault rifles by this Indo-Russian joint venture at Amethi, that is present in this Uttar Pradesh, which is mainly set to begin by year end. So here we can talk about indigenous production of this assault rifles. And if you move forward in this page number 12, here you can see one article regarding shortage of the drugs forces HIV patient to carry on with stir. So already we discussed about this shortage of this HIV drugs, that is antiretroviral drugs, and we also discussed about what is a NACO. Okay, so please try to revise the topics that we already discussed in our earlier lecture. That will be helpful for the long-term memory also. And this world page here you can see Putin Z to attend this G20 meet. So here we are going to have this G20 meet soon. So in that here Putin and as well as Z, they are going to attend. So once this is done, we will be getting some key highlights. Don't worry about that. In this business page, there is nothing much important from our today's newspaper. So by this I am concluding. So these are some important articles that appeared in our Hindu, and even I discussed comprehensively the current affairs of today. So one important thing I want to say here is, so if you're new to this Rathod's IAS Academy channel, so try to subscribe to our academy and hit the bell icon so that you will be getting the regular notifications whenever we are uploading the video without any delay. And one more thing here is, so if you want to get the PDFs, you can visit our website rathodsiasacademy.com. There you can get the PDF of this today's lecture. And by this I'm concluding. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.